Anyone can get on the tour bus and pay loads of money and get to know, so that's the Tower of London, that's Buckingham Palace. This is a different kind of tour. This is David's London. David's London. So in the in the history of Britain, most big railway terminals had hotels above them, and they were owned by British Rail, which was in turn owned by the government before they denationalised it, or whatever they did with it, sold it to private companies. But those hotels were very posh, and they were really for travellers, and they were very, very posh. And one of the hotels was above St Pancras, which was a station that served the kind of north middle of England, places like Sheffield and Leicester, places like that. Yeah. And then once they started the Channel Tunnel, the Channel Tunnel went from Waterloo, but eventually they built a high-speed rail link down to the Channel at Dover, and that went into St Pancras, and that completely revolutionised St Pancras Station. Many millions of pounds were spent on it, and what was really interesting is that when British Rail ceased to be and they privatised all the stations, they literally shut the door on St Pancras Hotel. They literally locked it.
Oh, that's sad. That's horrible. Mm.
So when they opened it up, it was like the Marie Celeste. There was linen in the linen cupboards and pots and all sorts of things in the kitchens, and it literally looked like, you know, the guests had just checked out. I think there was even some rooms that weren't made up.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
And they shut it, and it was shut for 20 years. So it's an interesting building anyway. It's a Victorian building, but it's meant to look Gothic. We're going to see it in a minute.
Perfect.
It's meant to look Gothic because it was an architectural competition for the High Court. And I'll show you the High Court at some point. That obviously won the competition.
Yeah, yeah.
The St Pancras building was second. Oh. So because they had this marvellous Gothic building and they didn't know what to do with it, they built the station in Victorian times on the design of what would have been the High Court, but for the fact that they preferred one set of plans ahead of it. So it's quite interesting. Lots of traditions of there's supposed to be ghosts that storm the old hotels. Things. Part of the building now they turned into another hotel, but really upmarket. It's a nice enough area, but it's not by many stretch of the imagination the best area in London. And yet here you are with apartments that are kind of almost as much as you'd pay for an apartment in Regent's Park or one of the posh areas. I've never been in them, so I can't tell you what they're like, but I should imagine they're pretty fantastic. So next up, St Pancras Station.
Yeah, so we're going to tour London now, everybody.
We're just going to go down.
Yeah, it's one of the most culturally diverse cities in the world, is it not? London?
Yeah, definitely. If not the.
No, Toronto, I think is.
Is it?
Yeah, Toronto is incredibly multicultural, actually.
Yeah, but
it's actually quite shocking.
It's multicultural, but it's multicultural full of Canadians, so the people from other cultures.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas London, you get people from all over the world who aren't even British citizens.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's exactly the case. Yeah, no, we have.
It may be the most in terms of. Those are my friends from traffic wardens.
Oh, those are the traffic wardens. Doughty Street?
Doughty Street is famous because it has the largest chambers of human rights barristers in England, and it's a kind of flip-off, and they congratulate themselves on being incredibly good to people because they do nothing but human rights. In fact, human rights in this country is just a scam because of our legal aid system. They basically ramp up their own bills and then tell the client that they have to take the first offering or they'll lose their legal aid.
Wow.
More times than I can tell you, the lawyers end up getting more money than the client. So if that's a human right, I don't know what an inhuman wrong is.
Yeah, no kidding. But
of the famous people that members of these chambers are Sherry Blair, who used to be, or who who is the wife of the
Tony Blair.
Blair. And also, I don't remember her first name, but Mrs. George Clooney. So
Mrs. Clooney.
Mrs. Clooney is also a barrister.
Really?
In this chambers. Yeah.
Wow.
So they're quite the thing that way.
Yeah, typical English weather.
That modern building over there used to be the Times and Sunday Times before they moved. You know, when they broke the unions and moved away. It's just an office building now, but you can see from the sign which goes back.
It's kind of weird seeing a lot of like super modern buildings in London because everything's so old, right?
It used to be where everything was old. It's now become kind of mixture of old and new. That building's been there 25 years. In fact, longer.
But it's a really cool contrast because you've got the old stone
Absolutely.
brick, like Victorian kind of style, and then you've got this as well.
The data. When our law exam results came out, we used to go to the back of this building on the day before they came out, and you would get at 11 o'clock, you would get the times for the next day, and that would have your exam results on. So on that one day of the week, there'd be like 100 law students at the back of this building.
Wow, yeah, waiting
for
find
the
out,
results.
find out if you pass.
Some of them would whoop and cheer, and others
would be crying.
Well, they would cry and crawl back into their father's Bentleys and things. So I'm going back onto the station now because that's our next.
Okay, perfect.
No, David.
What?
Don't get snarled up with the traffic.
No, it's all right. This is part of the tour.
It's London.
I know.
London traffic. Yeah, it is. It's part of it. Yeah.
And also, when we get there, I want to show them the London Google building. It's a thing.
This is great.
It's things that the tour bus. Anyone can get on the tour bus and pay loads of money and get to know. So that's the Tower of London. That's Buckingham Palace. This is a different kind of tour. This is David's London. David's London.
The real London.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's the tourist parts and then there's the actual, proper parts.
Some of the tourist parts are worth it, definitely.
Yeah, but like the Turkish district, that was amazing.
Yeah. And London has these kind of communities. I mean, there's Asian communities where you get the best curry you've ever had in your life.
Oh yeah.
It's not just an Asian family; it's whole communities.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go where West Ham used to be, it was very Pakistani, and you got fucking great food. Proper food,
Yeah.
Good
Oh
food.
yeah, for sure.
Spiced up.
Oh,
I miss that so much.
Yeah.
Because you would go. That's where you would go for your lunch or your tea, before or after the game. When Jamie came down, we would always go for curry, and sometimes it would be just a real kind of plastic chairs, and because the ambience would be rubbish, but the food would be out of this world. London isn't really changing. People say it is. It's just, as I told you before, it's politically very left because it's so diverse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And its diversity comes from the fact that people want to live in this city. And I think I told you that when the tubes were bombed, there was on the one carriage or the 1.5 carriage that were destroyed, there were victims from 23 different countries in the world. So that was a kind of microcosm of London, and there it was, and that shows you just how diverse this place is. And yet everyone gets along. Everyone, it's a big city. Some people get stabbed. It's mostly gang warfare. So generally, it's a very tolerant city.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. No, London. I've never, in Canada, I've never known London to be a sketchy place, right? Like it's like anywhere, parts of Toronto as well. There's always bad areas, right?
Well, there's no city that doesn't have danger.
Well, that's
that's asking.
I challenge somebody to find a city in the world that's not dangerous, in one way or another.
So we're just going out to the pubs that we had our supper in there.
Oh yeah, the Water Rats. That's where Dylan played his first show, wasn't it?
1963
in the UK. In the UK.
First London show.
First London show.
You recently said before he died. The Pogues, which of course Shemma Gunn recently passed away.
Yeah, the Pogues.
And
the best Christmas song ever.
Yeah. But it's most famous, although it's musically very famous. To me, it's most famous as the place where Karl Marx lived when he was in London, and who knows what he wrote on in the room above that particular.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy that Karl Marx actually stayed there.
And Lenin, after him, used to sit in there and go. I think the proximity to the British Library was probably what appealed to them. I don't know.
But it could very well have been the birthplace of modern communism that way.
Easily.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, I think Karl Marx died in London. Well, he's certainly buried in London, so he probably died here.
Yeah.
He's up in Highgate Cemetery, and you can visit his grave. You know, there's those who come to London for the sole purpose of going to Karl Marx's grave. They tend to be communists, but
yeah.
Just for the record, I've never seen it, but I know it's there.
Yeah, but the history is fascinating.
Yeah,
the fact that, like, you know, because you wouldn't think London, you wouldn't think a small pub in London is where, you know, that all began. But
No.
it's like you said, it makes sense if you think about it, because it's a such a crash.
You've got to start somewhere.
Well, exactly, right.
So this is King's Cross Station on the right.
Oh, this is King's Cross.
And then if you look, if you look at the contrast to the Gothic building, that's St Pancras.
Oh yeah. The way you were saying, yeah. You're telling us about St. Pancras.
That could have been the High Court. When you see the High Court, you'll see that there's not a multitude of difference in the architecture.
It is, yeah. I like it though. It is
The
very
High Court
Gothic.
doesn't have red brick. It's not made of red brick. But if you look at the spires and the towers, they're repeated in the design that won the competition. So it's a Victorian building, but done on a different, done on a style,
Gothic spin.
done on a Gothic spin.
Yeah.
Because that was the brief the architects got. They wanted something impressive, big and Gothic to represent justice in the High Court. The High Court, remember, is a civil court. It's the highest civil court, but it's not a criminal court. Other than the fact that it does have the criminal division of the Court of Appeal. So your appeal would go to the High Court, your trial wouldn't take place there.
Oh wow, yeah. Look at those. Look at the.
Down here is so this on the left, all of these things. This is the terminus of the Eurostar, where you can catch a train to both Brussels and Paris. So basically, anyway.
Yeah. So if we were going to go to Bruges, this is
If
where
we
we.
went by train, then we'd go from here.
Yeah.
I mean, we might go by train. I would tend to think that we drive.
Driving, yeah. Well, that's kind of what I was
There's
thinking
4 or
too.
5 things we want to see.
Yeah. Otherwise.
The train isn't really friendly to that.
No.
It's much nicer for going to one place. So the building, the modern building that you can see in front, the orange building, that's Google London, and that's the main headquarters of Google. I only know it because I did a whole 2 days work on voice recognition stuff.
Oh, that's really cool, actually.
Yeah, and it was really fucking well paid. Sorry, it was really well paid. and it was full of Americans who'd flown in, so it was kind of quite important to them. It's Silicon Cross building, which obviously this is all modern stuff. The original station is the yellow brick stuff.
Yeah, the Great Northern Hotel.
And you can see the Great Northern Hotel, which was one of the British. So they all had them. Bye-bye. And then you can see how Gothic the back.
Yeah, it's incredible. I love the archways and the windows.
And it's strange that 2 stations serving diversely different parts of the UK are so close together when they get to London. So all the kind of, it tells you that there's a lot of rails come into this bit. And if everything that goes north of here used to be kind of really derelict, it used to be railway property, all sorts of stuff. It's been so modernised and brought up to date. It's now it's like Covent Garden in many ways. It's called the old coal yard, and it's diverse with restaurants and bars, and it's got an outdoor cinema in the summer over the canal, and lots of entertainment stuff. And it's also got I think it's the London Film School, one of the major film schools
In the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And prior to that, it was just a bunch of old warehouses and old stuff. So King's Cross is very. It's now my home, but it's always been something to me.
Yeah, King's Cross is legendary. I think Harry Potter was kind of a thing that made King's Cross big.
Well, for me, the first time I ever came to London, at the age of, how old would I be? 1966. At the age of 12. Although I was driven there by my father the next day, the first time I came to London properly in Scotland, I came to King's Cross. So from age 12 until now, it's always been kind of central to my existence in London. I can get on here, you know, I do have a mobility disability, so at the present, so I can go on here, I get what they call passenger assistance. They pick me up in a chair, put me on the train, take me off at the other end, and deliver me to the pick-up point where my children will pick me up and take me on. So it's really convenient.
That is really good. It's good that they have systems in place for that too.
And the railways are very good. Now they are.
Well, that's in Europe. That's how most people get around, is it not?
Absolutely.
From far distances.
Our train. Remember that we invented the train.
Yep.
You know, the first steam engine went from Stockton to Darling, called the Rocket, and made by, I think, a Scotsman called Stephenson.
Yep, the steam engine itself was invented by a Scotsman.
Yeah, was that Boyle or something?
Watt. James Watt.
James Watt, that's it.
James Watt.
So all of these kind of things, you know, and steam train. I mean, I know I'm no point, but I remember steam trains as the norm. You know, and then diesel trains, of course, now it's all electric. Well, it should be. In my day, diesel train meant pumping loads of diesel into the atmosphere. And yes, Harry Potter, because of course Harry Potter was written initially. I think the first one was written in a coffee bar in the middle of Edinburgh, and of course anyone writing that lived in Edinburgh would associate London with King's Cross, and so
they're kind of synonymous with each other. I would think.
Hogwarts, the viaduct that you go over to get to Hogwarts, obviously exists, and it is just about 10 miles south of Inverness. So if you take the train from Edinburgh to Inverness, you know, you can see you can go over the viaduct. You know, in the films, the train spins off from the viaduct.
that really cool bridge.
The whole thing Hogwarts. So it was natural for them to make. Yeah, it made sense to have the Harry Potter Museum in London. You know, is it platform 11.5? There is actually a platform 0 at King's Cross.
Platform 0?
Yeah, they added a platform next to platform 1, and rather than confuse everybody and calling it platform 15, I think there's 14 others or 60, they called it platform 0.
Makes sense.
And then, of course, you've got the museum, but you've also got 2 Harry Potter museums, because the other one, of course, is at the Leavesden Studios in Watford, where the films were actually made. So that museum is more like a film museum.
Yeah, the actual film process.
Well, it's part of London, and it's also a big part of Edinburgh, because the author is, without any doubt, an Edinburgh citizen. There's Caledonia Road. Caledonia is, of course, another name for Scotland. And Caledonian means Scotsman. So Scotsman Road
was the Romans that called the Scots the Caledonians,
correct,
right?
Yeah.
Yes,
I don't know where they got it from.
That would have been, I think it was Hagrid that did that.
Yeah. When he wasn't building walls.
to keep them out.
Yeah. He did do that, but there's Roman influence goes all the way up to Edinburgh. And you know, there was a Roman settlement in North Queensferry, so there were obviously kind of outreaches of Rome. So though they didn't really want to wander further than Hadrian's Wall, some of them did, and settled. Did you know that?
No, I did not. No.
Now you know.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's perfect. I can't believe it's sunny today too.
Yeah, it is.
It is a great day.
We're going to try and get you to the favourite steak restaurant. You know, there's some wind going on here. So, if you remember, I told you about the Scottish pub in London. So here it is on the left. This is called, if you have a look, it's called, there we go, the Scottish Stores. Do you see?
The stores, yeah.
That's dots. So you'll get a wee pint of tenants in there, Ken.
Oh yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, a 1901.
So this is a really interesting thing. See all the people queuing here?
Mm-hmm.
So they queue here all the time. And it's all Asian people. And it's the most famous dim sum shop in all of London.
Really?
Yeah, and it is good. And they just queue.
Yeah, dim sum is really good. Yeah.
So it's most famous. It's supposed to be the best. And that's why people just queue all day for it.
Yeah, because it's worth it.
I've been in once and I thought it was okay, but not that great.
Oh, okay, well, good to know then. Yeah.
I wouldn't queue for it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah. Any time I went in, there was a storm and everybody disappeared, and it was okay. So, I think I mentioned to you that this is called Mount Pleasant, and it is the headquarters of the UK Post Office and the biggest sorting office, but they've just sold all of this off for housing, and it's a major thing going on in here. Major development. But there's something like, I don't know, 1,000 apartments go up.
1,000 apartments.
So the post office, as we do in Britain, they sold it off, and the first thing they did was cut a bit of their headquarters off, sold it for development, and probably recovered every penny they paid to buy the post office.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
But there you go. That is what capitalism is, I guess. Towards the back of Clerkenwell is Hatton Garden, where all the diamonds come into Britain. And
oh yes, because is it Sotheby's?
Yeah.
Or Sotheby's or something? Oh, I can't remember.
So you see in front of you, that's the Shard.
Oh, the Shard, yeah. I saw that at night, yeah.
Yeah, and you see next to it, it's not next to it, it's quite a way forward, is St Paul's Cathedral Dome.
Yep.
Dome of St Paul's is really famous because it's reputably the best Wren dome that survives, Wren being the architect.
Yeah.
And, he just loved the dome.
Well, it's a gorgeous building.
But his dome at St Paul's is fantastic. I mean, if you've ever... next time you come, you can go up into the dome and sit on a little balcony that goes round, and you can whisper at one end and people will hear you at the other.
Oh, because of the acoustics. Yeah, the way he's designed it, yeah.
So it's quite interesting. And you can see down into the church. It's called the Whispering Gallery for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm blessed to be able to live in what I call central London, because this is...
Yeah, no kidding, David. I can see why you like it here, because there's so much going on. You're not too far from anything, basically.
No, I mean central London itself is quite a big area because it includes W1, which is
10 million people, I think, in London.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't even have anything near that in Canada.
So I would say
largest city is 4 million in Canada.
Yeah, but that's still a big city, but it's not.
No, not compared to London, though.
I mean, but what you've got to remember after London is Birmingham, and I think Birmingham is like the size of Toronto.
Yeah, 4 or 5 million.
So we don't have many towns. It's only London. For so many of the years I've spent in London, I've had to live on the suburbs and get trains in and everything. So I really kind of love living in the centre now.
Well, I didn't know about
this is a Holborn Viaduct.
It's a very interesting bridge. Wow.
Yeah. There's a station called Holborn Viaduct above it, but I don't know the history of it, but it's...
Yeah, because usually, there's congestion fees, right?
There is congestion fee. I don't pay
£30, right?
The blue badge means that you don't... Well, there are congestions and Ulis, so it's
because £30, that's almost like 60 Canadian dollars.
Yeah, so if you live out of London and you come in with your car, you have to pay that and the Ulis charge, which is the clean air charge.
Oh yeah, and is it London or is it in Paris where if your car is a certain age you're not allowed to drive it?
No, it's London.
Oh, London has that. Yeah.
This car just makes it.
Really?
Yeah. The year before it wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
You can still drive in it, but you have to pay money every
tax,
day.
Yeah.
So this is Fleet Street, and it goes all the way up. But Fleet Street is particularly famous because every newspaper in UK used to have at least a presence in Fleet Street, if it was only a tiny office. Every single one, locals and nationals. And Fleet Street it just went all night because it was the newspaper.
Yep, the newspaper hub.
And then, eventually some of the press moved out. And it was a very heavinised union business, and therefore they weren't allowed to move out until somebody broke it. A guy called Eddie Sharp. Then they all moved out.
Yeah, the architecture is amazing here. It's very, very diverse, though.
Very diverse.
Yeah, we don't get this in... The only Canadian city that would come close to this kind of thing is Ottawa. Because it's got a fairly good mix there, but...
So we're going to cross...
Nothing like this, though.
We're going to go to Blackfriars Bridge to go to the south of London, otherwise known as the dark side. So this is quite interesting. This building over here, sea containers, was where literally the ships would... This is the river. The ships would come up the river and drop their containers in.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's now a really plush office block. So you'll see the London Eye.
Oh yes, London Eye.
To the right.
Side, yeah.
There it is. There it is. Yeah, over there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And a couple of other things. So this is Blackfriars Bridge.
This is wonderful. Yeah,
You can see
amazing.
this is the House of Parliament down the river. The other side, there's a station there. That's.
Oh yeah, you can see the train. Yeah.
So that's Blackfriars Station. And the platforms go over the river, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, that is really cool, actually. You see the old columns too. Looks like from an old bridge or something.
And then we then turn right towards
London, Chatham, and Dover Railway, 1864.
So you probably know. Yeah. As I said to you before, we don't have the best trains in the world now, but we were the first country to have trains.
Well, you guys have the high-speed trains, don't you? As well?
Not that match the French or the Germans. The French and German train system is just fantastic. I don't think it is anymore, but that building there used to be the headquarters of the civil service.
So are most of the buildings in London will probably stay like this forever, eh? Like they're not gonna...
Well, you
like all the architecturally significant ones, which seems like it's
probably
a fair amount.
You'd be surprised they do knock things down and rebuild them in a different way. And as I say, you know, I showed you the hospital, the neurological hospital going on in my street.
Yeah.
And they had to keep the facade because it was,
yeah.
But the actual building behind it is very modern and new. And if you go to the site of it, you see a complete...
Yeah, well, there's a modern one here. It's actually it's really kind of interesting to see the contrast of it.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of Canadian cities, it's just all modern, right?
Yeah.
We don't. There is no old buildings.
Well, you're only
right?
a couple of hundred years old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
300 years old or something.
No, 150. Canada's only 150 years old.
We're older than that.
Yeah, much. There's pubs in London that are older than the country itself.
People in London that are older than that. Or they seem to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, no, London was like, it was like 580 years. Or I think it was even before that.
Yeah.
London's been a gathering place for humans for a long time.
Yeah. So there's the Shard close up.
Yeah, oh, nice. Yeah, that's the Shard. That's the business. Yeah. The big business tower, I would assume.
The horrible concrete thing next to it is Guy's Hospital, which is one of London's major
hospitals. Yeah. Oh, I love that bridge. It's a nice bridge there.
And a fantastic hospital. But architecturally, you can see Guy's Hospital built in the 60s of concrete blocks. The Shard built by Arabs, in glass basically.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks very kind of like something you'd see in Dubai.
Yeah,
like the Burj Al Arab or something like that.
To the left here is Borough Market, which is really good fun, and if we had time I would take you there. It's a diverse place for buying all sorts of really interesting stuff.
Oh, Borough Market, yeah.
So, and then if we go up here...
Oh, it's in there. There's so many bridges, eh? But I guess, yeah, you would need all these bridges.
So this is London Bridge now that we're on.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So this is called the Shard Quarter. So, yeah, this is London Bridge. And apparently it's not falling down, although they've been doing some repairs to it, so maybe it is falling down.
Oh yeah, the London Bridge is
London
falling.
Bridge,
yeah.
And this is,
that's right. Yeah.
London Bridge Station. Can I just ask you, do you know? Oh, look at that. That's the city, isn't that fabulous?
I know. I know. Yeah.
Tower Bridge is another bridge, by the way, that looks really old, but it's actually Victorian.
Yeah, 1860s, wasn't it? Yeah.
It kind of looks as if it's been there forever, but it hasn't. So London Bridge is much, much older. There
was a competition for that as well, I believe, for the design. Yeah, no, there was. Yeah.
London loves an architectural competition.
Be very competitive though back in the well. That's the thing about some of these architects. Like if you won these competitions, you were obviously very skilled because the amount of people you'd have, submitting various designs. And was it like a committee or was it the Queen or the King that would pick?
For the I don't know.
I think it might be the Queen or so. Probably the Queen.
It might be the Queen if the building was of royal, prerogative of that, or if it wasn't the Queen, it would be
one of a branch of the royal family.
Yeah, or maybe the Royal Institute of Architects,
Royal Marines or something, the Royal Engineers or something like that.
All these professions have their own institutes as well. I would think Royal Institutes of Architects go way back, because of course architects, stonemasons will go back to Freemasons as well.
Yep. Well, that's where it all started.
And that goes back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
Well, stonemasons were the people that had power back in the day. Because if you were a king or
back in the day, they've still got
tons of power. Yeah. No, but that's how they got their power. Was anybody that wanted a building of any kind of significance, you talk to the masons, right? And the masons would build it for you.
Yeah. So we're now on the south side of the bridge. So I'm not exactly sure where
I'll get it in my GPS here. Yeah.
But I'm gonna imagine it's really close.
Right here, David.
You see it?
London ultra low emission zone en route.
Okay, so we're turning left there.
Yeah.
Onto there.
Yeah, and
so
then
it's just not very far.
No, it's not. We're almost there, basically.
So there's the bridge.
There's no rush. Oh my god. Okay. Oh wow. Yeah, that's okay.
So it's really
that's incredible, actually.
Yeah.
So this is Tower Bridge in London.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go up very often now, does it?
It goes up more often than you think. Probably on average a couple of times a day.
Really?
I would think
that frequently still,
yeah,
right? Well, I guess it has to. Yeah, I guess.
What I'm going to do, I can't park here because these are red lines. Red lines are, you can't cross red lines.
Mm-hmm.
So I can drop you here.
Okay.
And I'm going to go over the bridge and come back here, and I'm going to park left at the lights down here.
Okay.
So that's where you go in.
Okay.
As I said, I probably can spin round.
Yeah, I can.